Welcome to the Newsmakers Podcast. I'm Billy Hollowell, and this is a show where we go behind the headlines every day to bring you an interview with a pastor, entertainer, politician, or other notable news figure. And this is a show, again, it's daily, but it's based on our weekly TV show, which is also called Newsmakers. You can watch it on the CBN News channel and also on our YouTube page. And on this show, every day, we dive deep. It's a little more longer form with one of the people who you will often see on our Newsmakers show or across the CBN News platforms. On today's Newsmakers, we have Jonathan Roumie. He is the star of The Chosen, and The Chosen Season 4 is in theaters right now as we speak. Our own Goins-Phillips sat down with Jonathan Roumie to talk about playing Jesus and so much more. With no further ado, here is Trey and Jonathan Roumie.
Well, Jonathan Roumie, good to see you again. Thank you
Trey.
for doing this. You know, the first question that I want to ask, and every time I think about you, if you Google the name Jesus, the first picture of a person that comes up is Jonathan Roumie.
No, it's not. Is that true?
One of the first pictures that come up
Okay.
is a picture of you. What is that like, knowing so many people associate their savior with the actor, Jonathan Roumie?
I've never heard that before. Like, I that's strange to me. I think that just kind of blew my mind for a second. It's completely humbling to be even in the same sentence as Jesus. It's, but he kind of put me here. So I can't, shy away from the association completely. There's, for me, a sense of mission about what I'm doing. And it happens to be in the form of entertainment. And that's the gifts that I was equipped with by God, I believe. So, I'm kind of just following where he's leading me.
Yeah.
And my entire life and career has led me to this point. And what happens going forward and where God puts me and how he develops my career, that's up to him. I just pray to always be complicit in his designs and to not try to steamroll with my own, hopes and desires. Of course, I have, things that I'd love, the stories I'd love to tell that are outside of the scope of this time and place and this epoch. But I don't have attachment to any of it. So I'm just grateful to be in the present, be here sitting with you talking about season 4 coming out on February 1st.
Yeah. Season 4 is, we know where the story is heading, right?
Yes.
So as an actor who also believes in the source material personally, how do you balance that, knowing that you're heading toward the crucifixion, that your character is heading toward death and preparing the disciples as well? How do you balance that in your personal life as an actor?
I think one of the things that I try to do when telling the story, given the time and place of, for that season 4 takes place in, which is the lead up to Holy Week, essentially. So there are moments where Jesus communicates the future very clearly and plainly to the disciples, and they don't get it. So how I take those moments and consider the weight and the depth of what Jesus is going to go through, I have to, as an actor, I have to kind of be careful not to sort of telegraph too much, because then I'm also then not present. So as long as I'm present, everybody knows, like, I don't have to fill in the audience's mind with what's going to happen. They already fill that in. The emotions of what's going to happen, they're filling that in themselves. And as long as I stay present, I think that is my job. Personally, as Jonathan, it's the same thing. I try not to think too much about the future, because then it takes me out of the present. And even in my interactions with people, even offset, or in the documentary that I just put out on Prime called Jonathan and Jesus, I talk to different artists and musicians and leaders, thought leaders and spiritual leaders about that very thing and how important it is to just be in the present moment, and how Jesus must have been the most present person that ever lived, to be able to connect with people on such a level that we depict in The Chosen. And then when I have fan interactions and we see them in this docuseries, to just be present with the person, and allow them to just express how they feel about Jesus, and me portraying Jesus. And sometimes that line feels a little blurred. And so, but that's part of this experience. So, I think it's important to just be present.
Yeah. And as we're rounding out, the last question I want to ask you is actually about the docuseries on Prime. What's been the biggest joy maybe in creating that series for you?
I think getting the opportunity to give people that might not watch The Chosen, the encouragement to ask who Jesus is, and then maybe discover The Chosen, and then see our story about him playing out, and then really give them an opportunity for their lives to be affected by him.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan Roumie, thank you so much for taking some time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Trey.
That's all for today's Newsmakers podcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of the show, and also head over to the CBN News YouTube channel and the CBN News channel to watch Newsmakers every week. We'll see you soon.